City that he's. Thank you. Pastor Robertson, how much time do you have, sir?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, I'm leaving the meeting. I'm at lunch, so I got about 14 minutes.
Okay.
And then I gotta get back. I gotta get back and ready to present at 1 o'clock. So I'll probably got about 13.5 minutes.
Okay.
It's good to see everybody. Glad you all are here.
Thank you. Well, Natalie, you want to pull up the agenda and we'll just work through it. I know most of this is discussing the new developments of the two research studies that we're working on and what those mean to not only the sports sector, but the whole Kansas City physical activity plan as a group. You know, and maybe Robin, you could jump on and just give introductions to the group that's here and just let them know about what Kansas City Physical Activity Plan is doing as a whole, since we have some new people on, and what some of the exciting things that are happening in the other sectors. And then we'll focus in on what sports sector is trying to accomplish with our partnership with the Midwest Center of Nonprofit Leadership and our Physical Activity Mapping Project, and then the Aspen Institute State of Play community report that they're going to be doing here in Kansas City.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Robin Shook. The Kansas City Physical Activity Plan has been around for, we're in our third year. And it is a comprehensive multi-sector approach to creating safe and equitable opportunities to be active in the Kansas City region. And so we do that through sector-based work. The sports sector is one of 10 sectors that we have established for the KCPA plan. Within each sector, they have identified somewhere between 3 and 8 strategies that, if implemented, would create opportunities for physical activity. And then for each strategy, there is anywhere between 3 and 5 tactics, which are specific actionable items that could be used to implement the strategies. All told, across the 10 sectors, we have something like 40 strategies and about 130 tactics. And you can find all of those things on our website, kcphysicalactivityplan.org. The idea behind the sectors are the sports sector can do a great job of creating opportunities for physical activity, but that would be a very targeted approach. When you add in the other 9 sectors that encompass all parts of society, all of a sudden you start to see lots of small things building up to have big collective impact. And so that's kind of why we do the sector-based approach. So that's the KCPA plan. What did you ask for something else, Bill?
No, but
Okay.
while you were talking, I did think about the reprinting of the
Yeah,
plan,
so the plan
and when that might take place. I know we have recently done.
Yeah, I'll paste in the chat. There's our website. You can find like the actual plan there. Here's what it looks like. There's a PDF version online. We're updating it right now. I was just sent the draft document today. So hopefully we have that finalized in June.
Perfect. Yeah, and the 2 projects that we're going to talk about today have kind of come from the sports sector's conversations and their strategies. they actually have kind of circumvented or preceded the actual implementation of our strategies and tactics, because they're they have the ability to be so impactful on our community and on the other sectors. So, and I don't think the mapping project came from the sports sector, but obviously, as we kind of thought about what the Aspen Institute is trying to do with their Project Play, they are celebrating next week their 10th anniversary of Project Play. 10 years ago, they started a process of collecting qualitative and quantitative research on how kids access play in the United States. And they have exhaustive research and trends and understanding beyond, really most organizations. It goes beyond what people understand. They understand how kids access play and what the challenges are to that access. And play becomes sports in almost interchangeably throughout the Aspen Institute's Project Play lexicon. And when we first approached them to possibly come to Kansas City to do a community report, we saw the impact of other community reports on different communities throughout the country. And we realized that this would be a really great opportunity for us. So that's what this meeting is going to be about, is kind of updating everybody on where we're at with these two projects. The project mapping is a continuation of something the formerly known as the Childhood Obesity Collaborative or department at Children's Mercy, which is now called the Healthy Lifestyles Collaborative. And Healthy Lifestyles Collaborative has worked in the past with the Midwest Center of Nonprofit Leadership to research the whole Kansas City metro in terms of where kids were at with childhood obesity. And now we're kind of taking that a step further with the guidance of Dr. David or Mr. David Rentz, Dr. David Rentz, Professor Rentz. I'm not really sure. I think he's a doctor. I think pretty sure he's a PhD, and his leadership team that is helping us. And then a whole group of people coming together to help with the mapping project. So that's what today's all about. Right, Robin? Okay. With regards to the Aspen Institute, I think it would be helpful to do questions and answers around this. Although we have a pretty good idea of what the timetable is. We did not meet this week because the Aspen Institute will be having their big conference next week in Colorado Springs. And I know, Natalie, you're going. Is that right? Representing the Healthy Lifestyles group. I am going also representing Sharewaves. Sharewaves has been named a Project Play champion for the 2023 year, which basically means that we have met some criteria that they put out for organizations that are trying to help kids with the power of sports. And so we'll be recognized next week. Very excited about the opportunity, but really excited about the plans for them to come to Kansas City and conduct this community report for us, the Kansas City State of Play. Anything to add, Robin?
No, I don't think so.
So let's dig into this this other project, and then let's open it up for questions. Is that a good way to go? Okay, you're shaking your head. I can kind of see you shaking your head. We met for the first time about 3 weeks ago at two different locations. The one that I went to was in Johnson County at the Arts and Community Center on 87th and Metcalf. And Robin and Natalie were both there, and Dr. Rentz got up with his team, and they talked about how we are going to go about collecting the data that we're looking for, and then what's behind that. Robin, I'd really love for you to kind of jump in here and kind of share the process, because you've gone through this before. You've worked with the Midwest Center of Nonprofit Leadership on something as comprehensive as this, although it might not be as expansive as this is going to turn out to be. But really what I'd love for you to share is, what are your hopes of this when it's finished? And then we can dig into the Project Play project and research project and talk about our hopes for that. and then how people who are on this call can get involved.
Yeah, so all of these projects that Bill's talking about are relatives of each other, if you will. They are connected, even though they're distinct projects with distinct lines of funding. But for this mapping project, and I put map in air quotes, it's essentially an asset map of the Kansas City region for physical activity opportunities for youth. So essentially what we're trying to do is identify how many physical activity programs exist in the region, what populations they serve, what geographic regions they serve, things like that. So that's important to know just from a basic asset documentation perspective, so we can identify where there are programs and where there might be gaps in programs. Then the second layer is we get what we call systems level information about all the programs and the organizations that put on those programmings. So what that means is we try to identify what type of service the program provides. So most of them are going to be direct to consumer, essentially, programming. So I offer a baseball league for kids between the ages of 6 and 10 years old. Okay, that's delivering a direct product to a consumer. But there are going to be other levels of system function that we're also going to track. So for example, are you providing scholarships to kids to participate to make up for league fees? Are you providing education to kids? Are you teaching them about sportsmanship? Are you teaching them about the role of physical activity in health? Are you promoting sports sampling? Are you serving as like an organizing body for multiple different sports leagues? Are you promoting policies on a regional or statewide or maybe even national level? So by understanding those more system level functions, we will get a better sense of what the landscape of like the organizations are and how they're governed and how they operate are for the region. And that's important as well. To use an example from the childhood obesity project that we did about 10 years ago, we identified that there were no organizations connecting all the different programs that delivered childhood obesity programming throughout the region. So they were basically all operating on their own, in their own silo. And that obviously is not the most effective way that a system operates, because there's no collective action being taken. Everyone's just out for themselves. They may be doing good work, but collectively nothing is moving the field forward. And so based on that information, our team, the Kansas City Healthy Lifestyles Collaborative, we stepped in and we served that role as like the organizing body for the region. And that's what we've spent the last 10 years doing, bringing different people together. The result of us doing that is the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan. All of a sudden, we're bringing together 10 different sectors of people doing healthy lifestyle things, and we've got them all operating under one kind of larger umbrella. And we see the same opportunities for youth physical activity and youth sports for the region as well. So that's kind of where we see this project going. I mentioned that it's a relative of the Aspen Institute project. And what I mean by that is the Aspen Institute team is going to come in and they are going to do some original data collection, meaning they are going to create their own survey. They're going to administer that survey to, a couple thousand kids within the region and collect all this data. But then they're also going to do secondary data analysis. So they're going to take all the data that our team has been collecting at Children's Mercy, data that Bikewa KC has been collecting, data from youth sports registration databases that they have, and they're going to pull that together as well. And they'll use that to make their final comprehensive assessment of youth sports within the region. So the two projects are different, but the data that we're collecting in one will be shared for analysis by the other group. You're muted, Bill.
Just to follow on that, the Kings County State of Play was done a little less than 4 or 5 years ago. They created the Play Equity Foundation after they did that. Aspen Institute did that report. The Play Equity Coalition or Foundation or whatever they're called, they went and they tried to get legislation passed that would mandate recess for all elementary school kids throughout the state of Washington. And just last week, the governor of Washington State signed the law that said every kid needs 30 minutes of recess a day. They don't care when and how they get it, but they need to get it. And that was a huge win. And it's the most comprehensive law on the books in any state across the country that mandates recess for kids. And 30 minutes isn't enough, but it's a really great place to start. And unfortunately, that law won't go into effect until 2024, but it really rang a bell across the country of what could happen when you are able to collect this kind of comprehensive data, have a national organization like the Aspen Institute come back and tell you where you're at and what you're doing. And then it helps prepare lawmakers and legislators to put together laws where they can actually get changes happening so that our kids can get what they need from the schools that they attend. And they're not struggling to get physical activity from the foundation of how they get educated. And so it's super, super exciting. And we're at this kind of this tipping point place with what all the work that the Kansas City Healthy Lifestyles Collaborative has done over the past 10 years. Robin and his role and all the different people who have come alongside him and helped him, and then all of the different people that have participated in the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan. It's a really amazing opportunity for us to showcase what really great people who have big hearts, who care about kids, coming together, making a difference in the lives of kids using physical activity and exercise, and knowing that our kids really need it now. So it's awesome. Congratulations to you, Robin, and to your whole team.
Yeah, thanks. Well, it's definitely a collective effort. So this is why, it's very exciting to see, a good sized group on today with a nice mix of kind of returning members of the sector and some new faces too. So hopefully you guys stay engaged and can, inform what we do and participate in the things that we're doing. Because it really is driven by the members. It's grass tops is what we call it, because all the different member groups are the ones that are contributing to this work. So
we have a lot of time for questions. This meeting was scheduled to go to 1 o'clock, and we have some really great people online. I'd love to answer any questions anyone has, share any thoughts that anyone has. We could talk about really any aspect of this. We also could go around in a roundtable fashion and let everybody tell everyone why they're here and why they think this matters to them. But we didn't really plan for this to go so fast. I'm looking at the agenda and just wondering if there's anything else that we need to go through before we do just some sharing amongst one another. Hi, Nick. Looking good, buddy.
How are you, Bill?
I'm good. Glad you're here.
Thank you. So I guess I've got a couple of questions here as it pertains to data that will be needed, right? So my name is Nick Garcia. I'm the executive director here at Sporting Brookside. I've been here for about 12 years now, and we've got roughly 3,200 kids. Family-wise, call it 2,000, and it starts 3 years of age, all the way up to adult soccer. My question really pertains, like I said, to data that needs to be collected. We capture sex, we capture zip codes, we capture schools, we capture scholarship needs. Is there anything that may be needed that we may not already ask that I should put into my soon to be launched fall registration platform? I just want to make sure that I'm asking, whether it be currently or in the future, needs and demographics that need to be pulled.
Great question, Nick. Thanks for hopping on. So let me ask a quick follow-up question. So tell me again some of the things that you're collecting.
I mean, everything under the sun, sex, school, address, telephone numbers, are they returning players? Have their parents played? Just normal registration data. And quite often we use that data just for, measurements and evaluations here internally.
Gotcha. Do you collect anything on household income or household education levels?
No, but we can.
Okay. So the reason I ask about those two particular things is one thing, data that we see in other regions is, well, let me take a step back. In our region, in the 6 county Kansas City region, we see actually relatively high levels of youth sports participation. However, we know that is kind of doesn't tell the entire picture. In other regions, we see large disparities in youth sports participation based on things like income or household education level, in exactly the trends where you probably predicted. Higher level incomes have more higher rates of participation than lower. Same for educational status. And so we are working to try to collect some of that data. So that would be one, the one that really jumps right off right to the front of my head. And it can just be like simple categories, is your household income, 50 to 75, 75 to 100, 100 to 25, 125, so on and so forth. Same for education, what's the highest education level of a member of your family, high school, some college, graduate degree, terminal degree, things like that. The other thing would be, I guess, where do you guys host your leagues at? Is it all at Swope?
Yeah, so we're at the Swope Soccer Village, correct?
Okay, yeah, that's just some other information that it sounds like you're already collecting, that we've heard anecdotally from others, is that Swope is in a great location to address a lot of the potential inequities in access around income and education level that I talked about earlier. But there are anecdotes that it's largely, Johnson County kids, or, I'll say I'm a live in Brookside kids playing at Swope, not some of the neighborhoods, east of Truce, things like that. So that's something that, again, we're interested in learning a little bit more about.
Okay.
So that sounds like you probably already have that data, though.
Yeah. And again, I'm happy to share any historical data we've collected over the past couple of decades. So I don't know if that's useful or if it's kind of a waste, but there may be some fruit to bear in some of that that's just sitting there.
Yeah, I think that there probably is, we all, all of us live in the pre-pandemic and post-pandemic world. That's an easy historical look back. But there are probably other trends we might be interested in as well.
Okay, very good. And so I guess my follow-up to your comments there, can you get a list? Can we reach out to the Aspen Institute and see maybe what they have felt has been missing from previous surveys that they have done that they would maybe like for us to include in ours? Because I'm sure there's probably some other stakeholders on this call or that will be around that maybe probably should include it, just because once I go live, I want to make sure that I capture all the information prematurely as opposed to having to go back and ask people, as you know, people sometimes get a little lazy when they don't want to go back and redo things.
Oh, totally. Yeah. When when did you say you needed to finalize?
I will probably go live here in a month. So call it the first or second week of June.
Great. So Natalie, can you help me remember to bring this up at our next Aspen meeting that we have? We, Natalie, Bill, and I meet with Aspen Institute just for a monthly check-in, and our monthly next one is in a couple weeks, 3 weeks maybe. So we'll bring it up then and be in touch with you. Can I get your email from Bill?
Yep.
Absolutely. Or I can put it in the chat, whatever's easy.
Yeah, whatever, if you want everyone to see it, or you can send it directly to me, that's great.
Okay, awesome. Will do.
Cool.
Yeah, great. Thanks. Yeah, that is like a great example of partnerships that we're constantly looking for, getting data like that and having people, chime in and say, I think this is something that might be of interest as we try to understand access and barriers to access and participation in our region. So great.
Well, I know Ruth is on, and maybe we can hear a little bit about what's happening with Win for KC and their summer programs. I know that's super exciting. And I'd love to hear how the draft went for her. Ruth, are you there?
We did mention she was in a public place and it might be a talk today.
Okay, gotcha. I don't know if I know James is on. Are there any other questions? Anything else that we can answer?
Well, I would just say that people always, you're attending this meeting, so I think people are interested in how they can be involved. For the Aspen Institute project, the timeline for that project is it begins in August of 2023. And once it begins, there will likely be opportunities for anyone to provide input on the original data collection that I mentioned, and to do things just like Nick was mentioning, potentially contribute your own data or ideas to the project. So keep that kind of on the back of your mind for August. We will continue to provide updates on that in this meeting that happens the second Wednesday of each month. So just keep coming back to this meeting and you'll continue to hear about it. For the other project, the mapping project, as Bill mentioned, we had our initial meeting with UMKC, Center for Nonprofit Leadership. They're doing all the data collection for us, meaning they're going out, they are trying to find information on programs and all the things and all the variables that I mentioned. If you have programs that you want to make sure are included in that mapping project, you can send them directly to us and we will pass it on. We send programs to them as we hear about them on like a weekly basis. So Natalie, if you could maybe put your email in the chat box, and then we can say, email them to Natalie and just, say, here's a program I heard about that I want you to include. I heard about one just about 10 days ago that was helping kids with disabilities modify their bicycles so they could ride them. I've never heard of this program before, so I sent it on to UMKC. So if you have a program that you want to make sure is included, just email that to Natalie at the email address there. We will have a mid-project check-in on a yet to be scheduled date in June. And at that point, UMKC will come to the group and say, here is the type of data that we've collected so far. Here's the number of programs we've collected so far. What do you guys think of this? Are we missing things? If you want to participate in that meeting, I'll say, again, email Natalie and say, I want to be a participant. We try to be efficient with everyone's time. So I'm guessing it will probably be like a 1 hour meeting, maybe 90 minutes. And we typically will offer 2 different meeting times, and you can attend one of them, just whichever one fits best in your schedule. So if you want to participate in that, we are always open for people to join that advisory group. And again, that's to be determined date in June. The more people we have on that advisory board contributing their programs, the better. The more complete picture we're going to have of youth programs in our region. So, yeah. And of course, we'll continue to talk about that project in this meeting as well. Ruth, I see you've maybe unmuted or maybe have a second. If not, I will just try to get inside Ruth's mind, because I know she is deep in Camp Win planning right now. So
She says that there's 3 weeks left. There's a registration open for week 3 at the Lincoln College site, 6/19 through 6/22. So they still have a little room available for that week. I think the other weeks are probably sold out or filled. And she's asked to be unmuted, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe she's got, I don't know, I think.
I can't unmute her, so.
I can't unmute her. Natalie, are you by any chance?
I've been trying. It allows me to mute people, but I can't unmute them.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Ruth, not sure. Normally it's the other way around. Like Natalie said, we've got to put the lid on people, not the other way around. So, yes, sorry. Yeah, so, yeah, Camp Win is coming up. If you don't know about Camp Win, she put the link in the chat. It's a great program that the Sports Commission puts on.
Someone asked for funding opportunities. Their Casey Can is an organization that's giving money out. And I think that youth sports would be something that they would fund. Their grants are due the 12th, which is the end of this week. They give up to $25,000 and they are going to award those grants sometime June 15th, I think is the date. And then I do think I don't know what, it's not imminent, but it is interesting to note. I had a great conversation with Lewis Mays, the Vice President of Community Impact at the Kansas City Royals. He's come in and kind of reorganized the Royals focus and went to the board and asked the board if they could include physical activity as one of their big umbrella or big rock items. Robin, I know you met with him the same day I met with him. So he got double asked about physical activity. He based on Robin's interaction with Lewis, he offered to be a part of the Aspen Institute's Project Play collaborative or group that's coming together to help that. And so that's exciting to have someone like him and his high profile become a part of the physical activity movement in Kansas City is a huge opportunity for us. And hopefully it just is the beginning of getting a lot of great companies to get behind this opportunity with Aspen Institute and with physical activity and the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan. It's a storm of brewing. I feel this really cool energy around everything that we're doing. And it's nice to know that that these things are happening, but it also work takes work, right? And when you get something and you accomplish something, there's always more to do. I had an incredible conversation yesterday with Michelle Wimes, the Vice President of DEI at Children's Mercy Hospital, and I showed her what the physical activity plan is trying to do, told her about the Aspen Institute, told her what ShareWaves wants to do with the power of sports to transform kids' lives, and she wants to help us any way possible. And they asked me what it is I wanted, if they could do anything to help me at the end of the meeting. And I was like, I want to get in front of Jason Sudeikis. So hopefully that happens and we get Jason Sudeikis on our team. So that's the next opportunity for us. Robin, do you want to talk about your Royals call at all?
Yeah, no, I'll just give a 10-second update that just like Bill said, the Royals have an active presence in a variety of different areas of our community. Everything from literacy to pet adoption, but like Bill said, we're excited because they are very interested in having a larger presence in the promotion of physical activity. So hopefully that means you'll see some of them at future sports sector meetings.
Yep, awesome. Well, if there's anything, not anything else anybody has or any questions that we can answer, then I think we have accomplished our goal for the day.
Well, I'm just kind of curious. I know we have the update on Camp Win, but there's a whole host of other things happening. As the school year ends and summer begins in youth sports in the region. Does anyone want to share anything that they've got in the pipeline that they want to share with the group, or do they have any issues that they're encountering as they're beginning their programs that they would like input on the groups? We've had this happen a lot is, hey, I'm looking for youth sports officials. Anyone got any leads for me? Things like that. So anyone?
I can share that I'm meeting with Toriana Porter about doing a physical activity impact on mental health article for the Kansas City Star. I think it's really important. And Toriana Porter writes for the Kansas City Star. He's on the mass media group. And I feel like with what the Surgeon General came out with yesterday or 2 days ago, basically saying physical activity is a critical piece to helping adolescents with their, with the mental health crisis. And the recent meta-analysis that was published that had 128,000 individuals and showed a 1.5 times improvement in over therapy and medication for the onset of depression. There's just a lot to be able to share out into the marketplace about how physical activity and exercise is so critical for our kids right now. And so that's really, I think could be some exciting things. We are going to work with Chicken and Pickle on a pickleball tournament on August 10th, 8-10 day. It'll be the power of pickle meets the power of sports. And we're excited about that. We hope to have 2,000 people come out to the South Chicken and Pickle location, and we'll have a 36 team tournament, try to determine who's the best pickleball player in Kansas City, but it'll be a celebrity pro-am type of thing. And we'll have celebrity coaches for each team, and then invite the community to come out and support the power of sports to impact kids' lives. Anybody else? Craig Canty has a question.
Yeah, so while people are thinking about what they might want to share, I'll answer Greg's question. The mapping project, yeah, our goal is to make it publicly available. The question is, what's the best way to do it? The data is delivered to us in an Access database. I don't know if anyone has ever used an Access database before, but it is tricky. And so what we're trying to do is figure out what's a publicly available website that we can put this data on. And that's actually one of the aims of the project. And we've got a couple different options that we're exploring. Greg is a Children's Mercy employee, so he has maybe heard of our database called Lift Up KC that has a whole host of social determinant of health resources, things like food access information, housing information, things like that. We're trying to see if it might be a good place to store this physical activity program data. So you could search it, hey, I live in zip code 64108, and I'm looking for a baseball league for my 10-year-old. And have it pop up. Not sure if that's possible. We also are exploring things like using My Sidewalk. My Sidewalk is another dashboard type website that hosts a variety of different information. Bike Walk KC, for example, they have lots of like bike and pedestrian use data, and they have things like traffic data on top of it, so you can like get into their database and find out places for you to go biking, or which are the ones that are safest or most dangerous, things like that. So we're trying to figure out if My Sidewalk might be a place for that as well. So the short answer is yes. The longer answer is yes, but we don't know when it might be in something that's publicly available. That being said, we are happy to share the data with anyone who asks for it, and we can export it in like just an Excel document very easily for anyone that wants it.
Cool.
Sounds great. Thanks, Robin.
Yeah, no problem. Great question.
Anybody have anything else to share? Happenings going on? Anything? Okay. Well, invite your friends. Let's keep adding people to our team. It's always been one of my goals to add more people to this group. Having people like Nick Garcia and Ruth Feldman from Win for KC is critically important because we're stronger together for sure. Thank you, Robin. Thanks, Natalie. Thanks, Katie.
Have a great day, everybody.
Natalie, let's talk about
next meeting, Natalie. Next meeting. Oh yeah, thanks.
June 14th.
Yeah, at noon. And Natalie does an excellent job of sending out the minutes from this meeting. in the form of a newsletter, so expect that in your inbox. You know, it takes, you know, what, a couple weeks or so to do it, but you can also find them all housed on our website. I just threw the link in the chat if you want to go back and see what we've done in past months or what some of the other sectors are doing.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Bye.